Hey everyone, welcome to Broadband Deployment News. And some breaking news right now. The NTIA has opened the application window for the Middle Mile Broadband Grant Program. So I'll be right back and we'll discuss that. Thanks for joining me. Rick Usey here with Broadband Deployment News. And as I mentioned, they have opened up the application window for the Middle Mile Broadband Infrastructure Program. And this one is really something that service providers should look at, especially if they're covering larger areas where they can provide middle mile infrastructure, but also from the perspective of if you've got unserved areas that are kind of adjacent to you, underserved areas, you can apply as part of this program. It's $1 billion. And one of the nice things about this is not going to be money that you're going to have to wait on, or at least should not be money that you're going to have to wait on until sometime next year. Let's say spring, or maybe even getting into the summer of next year, when some of those BEAD dollars will start to flow for, let's say, last mile connection. This middle mile infrastructure, there's not any requirement for the FCC maps to be ready for this, so the application process is open. It actually opened a couple of days ago. I got an email last night about this. And then the deadline, so basically from a couple of days ago, but really starting today if you're just learning about this, to September 30th. So that's the window for this particular program. So this is the website. I'm going to go ahead at the end of here and post a link to this website so that you can get all of the details. But if you go on here, you'll see they've got a program info sheet. I think that's been up there. You can see now that you can apply now. There's this button. And then down here, they've got a couple of things you can download, or multiple things actually, because you've got this download application guidance. It's like a manual basically on how to apply. It's actually very good. There's lots of good information there. I mean, I look through it and it's way better than let's say the NOFO. So I think it takes a lot of the information from the NOFO, tries to make it a little bit more, in a kind of step-by-step process. There's screenshots. I'll show you some of that here in a minute. And then they've got this download checklist and packet. And when you actually download that, what you're going to get, so there's lots of files, you're going to get basically a zip file with all of this stuff in it. So I was going to click through some of these things just to show you what they look like. So you've got a fillable file here, CD 511. And this stuff's really small. Obviously, I'm going to blow it up here, but I'm not going to go through all of them. But this is a certification regarding lobbying that you need to fill out, and it's a fillable form. What else do we have in here? How can I get back to? I'm just going to reduce that. Middle Mile Grant Program application, and this looks like this is a checklist. So you kind of got, again, they're trying to be helpful here to give you a checklist to go through. Make sure that you've gotten everything done. Your yes and no. You just go through this and say, okay, have I covered everything? So that's good stuff there. We've got community anchor institutions. So I think you're probably going to have to list. I was going to open Excel. This is a spreadsheet. Yeah, I think I have Excel on here. I'm not sure. Let's see. Let's find out. Yeah. Whoa, it's opening in another place. Hold on a moment. I'm not going to open. Yeah, well, I'll move it over here. So we've got Excel, and this is just a blank form where I think you would list all of the anchor institutions. So for this middle mile program, you've got to, if you're going to do this program, you have to make sure that any middle mile infrastructure, if you are running it through an area where you wouldn't, I think it's maybe 1,000 feet of an anchor institution, then you need to make sure that you have a connection available for them. You don't have to provide the connection. I mean, I'm assuming they still have to pay for that, right? But you have to have that connection available so they can connect up if they choose to do so, if you provide that service to them. So there's that. And then what else do we have? We've got middle mile budget template narrative. This is a Word document that's opening. So again, I'll wait for that to load here. I'll just move it over. So budget narrative, you'll have to read, just letting you know what's up here. You're going to have to read through all of this stuff on your own. Data template submission, another Word doc. You can see all kinds of stuff up here. So this tells you the required fields that you've got, optional fields, the type that it is. So you get your point name, your lat, your longitude, your type of point of presence, HUT, splice point, etc. So this is basically the data specifications for your submission. So this is another supporting document that you've got there. Just close that. What else have we got? Budget justification. This is another spreadsheet. These are some templates. So again, this is just basically an empty sheet. Your budget justification information. Really, really small, I'm sure, for you to see that. Let's see, I won't bother making it big. I'm not even sure where to do that in here. But you've got lots of empty fields and stuff that you can look at there. And we've got template pro forma final. Another spreadsheet. There you go, it opened right there. So you can see this is your income statement. You've got your network, you can't see this, I'm sure, but you got your network services revenues, wholesale lit capacity, wholesale transit, paid peering, wholesale data services, etc. That's your revenues. Then you've got your expenses, MMG total project costs, spares, backhaul, network maintenance monitoring. So I'm assuming this stuff all calculates out, so they get this nice spreadsheet where you can enter your information right there. And another spreadsheet. NTIA MMG program table, funded project participants and unfunded collaborators, different applicants, not sure what that is. And then you've got a couple other fillable forms that did not work when I tried to do these. So I get this message on both of these next ones that that's not available. So I will let them know about that. So it's very possible that they don't have the file up there. Maybe they changed something out and did not replace it or something like that. So I think they can update this zip file and get that working for you at some point. But I will go ahead and contact them and let them know that I cannot make that open. And I tried on two different, my desktop as well as a laptop. So I was not able to make that work. So you can see lots and lots of stuff in here meant to help you with your application process. And then again, also there's this, where is it? Right here. You've got this guide. So this is the guide. So these are the forms. Let me close these. That's the checklist, I think. That's a fillable form. It did not work. Okay, so here you got this guide. This is a middle mile broadband infrastructure application guidance. And you can see this, I believe, is, like I say, a lot of this is taken from the NOFO, and lots of information in here. You've got your program guidance, your key dates, again, June 21st through September 30th is the application window. You know, information about some of the requirements like Buy American. You got your templates, upload without templates. So I'm sure some of those, they're talking about maybe some of those templates that we were just looking at. Grant programs page, a lot about the NTI grants portal registration process and the portal workspace. This is just the table of contents we're looking through here. Applicant information, your organization details, primary applicant, foreign ownership, those kinds of things, what you're going to need to put in there. Your project information, so you're going to have to put your application in this process, executive summary, level of need, state coordination, you need to make sure that you're coordinating with the state. Government and community involvement, again, making sure that on all of these programs, you need to make sure that you're engaging stakeholders early on and throughout the process. So I'm sure they're covering all of that stuff. You got your timeline narrative, etc. Your technical capabilities, you're going to have to talk about that. Required project documents, they go over that. And your budget information, I think probably using some of that spreadsheet that we're just looking at, which will help you compile some of those things. And how to submit an attestation on your application as well. And I'm not going to go through this, but as you scroll through here, as I scroll through here, you'll see lots of information. Here's, again, information on Buy American, waivers, those kinds of things. Then you get into the portal, and they have some screenshots in here that are going to be helpful, I'm sure, as you go through this process. Kind of, again, like a manual for how to do this. I did notice that some of the screenshots that they were talking about were that fillable form. I think it was this one, maybe. Yeah, it's this one right here. Actually, this is the one, I think. There you go. I have somewhere else in here, but it's actually the form that I could not open. So the form does exist, but it was one of those fillable forms that I couldn't open. So And then you got your applicant information and lots of information here about what you need to say, field type, and what that information needs to be, type of submission, type of application, date received, applicant identifier, all that kind of stuff. So, so the starting gun has been fired on this middle mile broadband program. So this is something that, again, I think if you are a service provider currently, you should be looking at this, depending on how you're situated in your service area. But this can be, there's $1 billion in this program. There's going to be a lot of people applying for it. That's not nearly enough money for middle mile infrastructure throughout the country. But if you have a need in your area, then you definitely need to apply for this. Can't hurt, right? And like I say, if it's a specific need, like if you're in Alaska, there's all kinds of middle mile difficulties there. So that would be a state where they're going to be using lots of middle mile money, and maybe even more so than last mile money from BEAD. But also don't forget that in the BEAD program, you can apply BEAD funds to middle mile infrastructure. So if you're in a state where it is a significant challenge for middle mile infrastructure, like Alaska or maybe Vermont or something like that, where you've got difficult terrain and middle mile is an issue, then you can take BEAD money and apply that to middle mile infrastructure, as long as that middle mile infrastructure is meant to assist, obviously, in the facilitation of last mile infrastructure, specifically maybe to reduce costs, to make it easier to connect up. Now that's going to be the same kinds of things that you are going to be looking at here in this middle mile program as well. So anyway, again, starting gun is off, so go ahead and check that out. Right at the end of this, I'll go ahead and link to that middle mile infrastructure site on NTIA, and you can download everything that you need there. So thanks for joining me. If this was helpful, go ahead and give me a like on the video. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and click the little bell. You'll be notified when I'm live, and that's pretty much every day. So I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.